everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am Jen. This is Fundy Fridays, and here on my channel I talk about different aspects of Christian fundamentalism, American conservative politics, pop culture, and feet stuff. Shit. I mean gay stuff, but there is going to be feet stuff. We have a weird episode today. We're going to talk about the inventor of stuffed crust pizza. Don't worry, it'll all make sense in a little bit. Or actually, it will make less sense as we go on. Because today, we are going to be talking about He Gets Us, which is a controversial PR campaign about Jesus. These are literally commercials for the very vague concept of spreading Christianity. They're pretty much hated by everyone, at least online. I don't know anybody in real life who gives a shit. So today we're going to be talking about He Gets Us, and I'm aware that this is extremely topical, right? Like, people are definitely still talking about He Gets Us, right? Truth be told, I had planned to do this episode in June, and then all the other episodes fucking got in the way, and so now we're doing it in July, but I think I've uncovered some, like, pretty interesting shit about this campaign, so we're definitely going to be talking about that. Of course, we're going to be talking about the conservative outrage about this, and why also leftists don't like it. And of course, I fall into that camp, and I don't like these ads because I think they are fake woke, they are pandering, and the people who make the ads, and I'm talking like the actual people who filmed, edited, and put this out, Brand Haven Marketing Agency, are conservative. They make ads also for the Alliance Defending Freedom, okay? They are not liberal. They don't even believe the message that they put in these ads, so why the fuck would I believe it, you know?
You know what? If you can't get excited about your work, why would you expect anybody else to?
Yep.
I also hate that the right-wing conservative Christian billionaire David Green of Hobby Lobby fame is one of the biggest, most vocal financial backers of this thing. And don't worry, we're going to get into that in just a minute. And of course, conservatives don't like these ads because they say that it paints Jesus in like this modern, watered down, lukewarm Christianity, that they haven't put their whole Christosia into it, which is why I'm also mad too. Say what you mean. If you guys want all gay people to burn in hell, and shop at Hobby Lobby instead, no, I'm sticking with that. Then just fucking say that. Don't sit here and piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Like, these ads are not sincere, and they're not convincing anybody, and they're just pissing everybody off. But here's the secret that we're gonna learn about today. The actual high-up billionaires that are funding this thing also don't give a shit. Hello, it's Editing Jen. You're gonna be seeing a lot of me today. I just realized that I talked for like 30 minutes and didn't actually explain what these ads are or what they look like. Like, I've played a few on the screen with me. I can't have shit around here. Anyway, I played a couple videos without context, but I just wanted to show you what they are. So originally the ads were in both English and Spanish. Like, they had two kind of separate campaigns, but it were mostly still images, black and white, of people doing different things. I mean, there's literally one where it's like talking about, you know, Jesus was born to a teen mom too. And then of course the famous ones are like the one about Jesus was also a refugee.
But they were far away from the atrocities taking place in Bethlehem. That's all Mary and Joseph wanted. A safe place to call home.
Of course, the Love Your Neighbor one is the most famous because that depicts both legally distinct Black Lives Matter protesters, but also, like, they also depict them going up against cops and racists, you know, kind of painting it in an all sides sort of situation. But they always set them to, like, what they think is emotional music. And so there's one that's really famous that plays I'm Only Human After All by Rag and Bone Man. And I obviously can't play that for you, but I can sing my own version of the song. Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. Take a look in the mirror, and what do you see? Do you see it clearer? Or are you deceived by what you believe? 'Cause I'm only human after all. You're only human after all. Don't put the blame on. Some people got the real problems. Some people out of luck. Some people think that I can solve them. Lord heavens above. And so the new ads, the ones from the most recent Super Bowl, and this time it's a series of images of people, depending on who you get this information from, people who maybe conservative Christians would consider to be their enemies or to be sinners. So someone getting an abortion, a protester and a cop, a gay person and a religious figure. Also, the way that Allie Beth described this picture was just completely uncalled for. She really said that this person looked obviously flamboyantly gay. Like, what the fuck? She's out here clocking people.
Here is what looks like a priest that is washing the feet of a very noticeably flamboyantly gay man on a beach.
Some other images that they chose to put in this thing were a Native American and an oil tycoon, seriously, having their feet washed by somebody who would be considered the opposite ideologically from them. What is this supposed to be depicting? A Muslim family versus a racist neighbor? These are the new ads that people are mad about, and the conservatives are like, he only washed the feet of his disciples, right? This is just condoning sin, and they're real all about like, why don't you mention that Jesus died for our sins and that he wanted us to repent? I'm like, I don't know, because that's not what a glitzy branding company decided to do. I don't know. I did think the feet thing was like, I don't know. I think they knew what they were doing. They were trying to be provocative. But anyway, those are the new ads. And they also use copyrighted music. And I'm not going to do another song. I know. You only get one per episode. So He Gets Us is actually a fairly recent phenomenon. They were started in 2022. The first Super Bowl ad cost $20 million, and then the second one, the more recent one, cost $100 million. And there are plans, according to the He Gets Us campaign, that they want to expand this ad and spend $1 billion on it. When I started hearing about He Gets Us, I thought that they had been around for a long time. Turns out I was confusing them with the Foundation for a Better Life. They're the ones that's like, fatherhood, pass it on. Integrity, pass it on. You've probably seen those ads. I'll play one on the screen.
See you around?
Yeah. Character. Pass it on.
So yeah, a lot of people in articles said that this He Gets Us campaign was reminiscent of the I'm a Mormon campaign and how they were like trying to modernize the church and make it seem cool. Yeah, I remember that.
Having a belief in God has helped me understand who I am, and I genuinely feel there is someone that I can kneel down to and pray to and ask for help, guidance, comfort. Gaining that feeling of peace and direction is something that is really important. No matter how career-minded I am, my family and my faith will always come first. I'm a wife, I'm a career woman. I love seeing cakes made in the oven. I'm Sarah Kate Gill, and I'm a Mormon.
These were ads, they're everywhere. Online, they were at the Super Bowl. Pretty expensive campaign too. They're on my For You page on TikTok. There are billboards in Times Square even. There's a fucking NASCAR car that has ads for He Gets Us on it.
Yeah, so just to make it even more interesting, Ty Gibbs, the driver of the car, is the grandson of Joe Gibbs, who, for those who don't know, is the owner of Joe Gibbs Racing, who sponsored the car, and they're actually like a well-known, very good racing team, and like at NASCAR level. And Joe Gibbs also is a former head coach, like a legendary head coach for the NFL's currently Washington Commanders, what used to be the Washington football team, and before that was a racial slur we're not going to say here. And he's also apparently, I did a bit of light Googling, he is also himself, seems to be kind of a conservative Christian. He writes Christian books where he talks about how, I don't know, being a football coach is like being Jesus or something. I didn't read them. And he has this one thing called Game Plan for Life, which seems to be like his motivational speaking Christian football thing. So yeah, just adding another overall connection to the gigantic Fundy Fridays cinematic universe.
And after you watch these ads and you're full of rage, you do exactly what they want and you go to their website. Yeah, they have a service that will connect you to a local church, according to this Baptist News article, which I will be quoting a lot. In 2023, He Gets Us referred individuals who reached out to hegetsus.com looking for prayer to partnering churches in their communities through a platform devised by Glue, a digital communications organization. That initiative is currently on hold. Instead, seekers are directed toward local Alpha groups. However, Alpha USA, just like Compassion International, YouVersion, One Hope, and the Lausanne movement, He Gets Us still partners with Glue. So the personal information of these seekers is potentially still circulating in the same data pool, and Glue has ties to right-wing Republican backers desperate for data they can use to target would-be voters. Okay, so that answers the question. Why are they wanting people to go to this website? What do they possibly gain from this? Your data. That shit is more valuable than anything, and I never considered that. But yeah, they want to know about you so they can sell you stuff. Or sell your information to other companies. I wish I had a fucking sponsor for this episode, because I'm thinking of a few that would work really well right here. Every article I read mentioned this, and so did Allie Beth. When this campaign first got started in 2022, there was a live chat where you could talk to a real person and they would answer questions about Christianity, and Allie Beth talked about, she asked them about salvation and she liked their answer. And they all also mentioned this network of 20,000 churches that they are going to connect you with, and I couldn't find that on their website. Now, I wasn't gonna talk to the live chat guy, but I wanted to use their church search feature or whatever it is and see what churches they connect you to, and I can't find it. And I even, oh God, I'm going to regret this. I signed up for their email list with my spam email, and I haven't even gotten an email from them. So I don't know how the hell any of this works, but apparently you used to be able to do that.
I mean, I do have some pushback to that. The Bible study plans that the site connects to repeat some of the same problems that I just outlined, that we just talked about, and there is no doctrinal standard, as I already said, that the churches must meet to be a part of the He Gets Us network. So who knows if they're preaching the prosperity gospel, the workspace gospel, there's no such thing as sin gospel at some of these churches. All of that said, though, I do take your point and think that there is something to it, that maybe this could pique someone's interest and they be connected to a church, whereas earlier they weren't interested, and they weren't interested in other types of evangelism, and this worked for them.
Evangelicals are acting like they're going to send you to some like super affirming pro-gay Unitarian church. No, they're taking you to regular churches, and let me just tell you, if a church is affirming, they will let you know. It will be on their website. All other churches, you basically have to assume that they're not. And even if they're nice to your face and they say all is welcome, they don't mean that. They mean welcome to a point. They mean welcome enough to take your tithe, but not to actually serve as leadership or have anything to do with anything that actually matters at the church. And they put a lot of money into this shit, but I don't think they actually care about the message, because they just want to pat themselves on the back and say that they did a good charitable thing while also getting to reap the benefits. And yeah, like, they don't care if conservatives and progressives are fighting. They don't give a shit. It gives them something to make content about, and then I make content about their content. So I guess it's kind of like the circle of life. To further drive my point home, I have a clip of David Green and Glenn Beck having an interview, which isn't Glenn Beck Mormon. And doesn't Allie Beth work for The Blaze, which is Glenn Beck's TV network? Man, there's just a lot to this. I'm going to have to look into that. And I chose this clip to show you because it demonstrates, at least to me, that David Green, the billionaire founder of Hobby Lobby, who heavily influences federal laws in the United States, I don't think that he even has watched these ads. I don't think he gives a shit what they portray. And I certainly don't think he cares that the greater Christian community is upset about these things. I think he just wanted to do something generic for Christ, and he wanted to be able to write it off on his taxes. Because when Glenn brings up these ads, neither of them mention the controversy or even seem to know that one exists.
Well, there's only one thing left to do, and it's what everybody dismisses. But if we don't turn to God and ask him for forgiveness and help, we're not going to survive. He's the only answer at this point. And people are like, yeah, I know, but what are we going to really do? And I'm like, Do you not believe that the guy who rose from the dead, harder trick than fixing our country, is not, I mean, people of faith, I'm not sure that a lot of them really truly have faith that when it comes down to it, yeah, whatever happens, it's in his hands.
Yeah, but I think there's something we have to do. So I think you'll see us, our family, with a lot of other families coming on a program, and you're going to see it. You're going to see it the Super Bowl. He gets us. So we're wanting to say, we being a lot of different people, that he gets us. He understands all of us. He loves who we hate. And so I think we have to let the public know and create a movement, really.
But that's a different movement. I agree with you on that. There's lots we have to do. But that's one of the most important movements I've heard. If that's what the movement you're doing, he loves those who hate us.
Right.
So we have to find a way to love. It doesn't mean don't stand against it.
Right.
You got to be firm and clear on your stance. And I'm not moving, but I can't hate them.
That's right. We have to present the only answer to this, and it's not politics. And you've already said it. It's him. It's Jesus who died for us, loves us. And until we accept him and know him and his scriptures and his book that he's given us, we can't settle the problems we have.
So you have written a book, Leadership Not by the Book.
All right, I don't think I'm going to find a better segue than that. Yeah. David Green went on to Glenn Beck's program to talk about a book that he co-wrote with Bill High. Bill High founded the Signatry, which is a donor-advised fund. It's a company that helps people take donations that they want to give to different causes. This one is specifically for Christian causes, and so they give them their money and then they divest it into different things. We're specifically talking about the Signatry today, and there is a very interesting story with them. So this whole thing used to be funded by a group called the Signatry. I kept calling it the Signatory, which I think is a much better name, but whatever. You can have that one if you need it, guys. And I say used to be because they kind of gave this project away to another company that's actually the same exact company, just with different people. We'll get into it. You will sometimes see the Signatry referred to as the Servant Foundation and vice versa. And for our purposes today, they do kind of mean the same thing, but there is a difference. I think one of them might be the legal name and one might be the ministry. I'm not sure. The campaign is a project of the Servant Foundation, an Overland Park, Kansas nonprofit that does business as the Signatry. But the donors backing the campaign have until recently remained anonymous. Were they really anonymous if they were only anonymous for 1 year? In early 2022, organizers only told Religion News Service that funding came from the like-minded families who desire to see the Jesus of the Bible represented in today's culture with the same relevance and impact he had 2,000 years ago, which was started by Bill High in 2000. Bill High is really hard to find. In fact, the only place I could find him was on his LinkedIn. Shout out James for always having me check LinkedIn. Bill High actually went to Mizzou, but Bill High is also a lawyer with over a decade of experience in business and commercial litigation work. So, I mean, he's not stupid or anything. Over a 20-year period, I helped establish a nonprofit charitable foundation focused upon charitable giving, donor-advised funds, and working with nonprofits. I worked directly with a board of directors and served in different roles: founder, president, general counsel, chief executive officer, and executive chairman. I worked directly with donors and their families to help them grow in their generosity, their stewardship, and involvement with their families. We grew from a startup to an organization that has received over $6 billion in contributions and $4 billion in grants. We started originally as the Christian Community Foundation in Kansas City before changing our name to the Servant Foundation. We affiliated with the National Christian Foundation before later becoming the Signatry. I spoke and taught in various venues around the country on the subject of family, legacy, and generosity, as well as nonprofit fundraising, major donors, major gifts, and planned giving. So yeah, that's what the Signatry does. But it's a place and a website where you can donate money to various Christian causes, various Christian foundations, and they make it super easy, and most of all, they make it extremely easy to write off on your taxes. I think their job is to help people write shit off on their taxes, and no, it isn't technically money laundering, but it is a way for wealthy billionaires to once again skirt paying their taxes and contributing to society. Because seriously, 4 out of 5 of the benefits on their website that donors get is being able to easily write stuff off. I mean, he just said he raised fucking $6 billion in contributions. That is still a tiny little drop of water in the bucket of the amount of money. This motherfucker is Scrooge McDuck swimming in the fucking money. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to give money to causes that you believe in. Not at all. I just wanted to show you guys what I found, and that's that the Signatry makes it super easy for wealthy people to shuffle the same money back and forth. The money that people are giving to this company is being used to fund stuff like the American Bible Society, Young Life, Campus Crusade, Crisis Pregnancy Centers, Ken Ham's Answers in Genesis, The Navigators, Hyatt Ministries, a team seeking to unveil the deception of Islam. I've also given money to the Conservative Partnership Institute, an incubator for the most extreme Christian nationalist groups, including the Center for Renewing America and Project 2025, as well as the Southern Baptist Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission for its mission to install ultrasound machines in those crisis pregnancy centers and distribute a sexuality guide blaming gender dysphoria on the fall. They have given millions of dollars to these causes, but the one that they really, really like is the Alliance Defending Freedom, a conservative nonprofit that claims to defend free speech and religious liberty as secular forces chip away at our nation's Judeo-Christian roots. And that, by the way, that's not a thing. And it's quite offensive to say something like that. ADF got started in 1994, founded by 30 conservative leaders, including James Dobson of Focus on the Family, Bill Bright of Campus Crusade, Coral Ridge Church's D. James Kennedy, and Don Wildman of the American Family Association. They originally formed the organization to combat the American Civil Liberties Union, you know, those pesky civil liberties. But ADF has expanded its mission to include opposition to homosexuality, transgender rights and healthcare, abortion, and the myth of separation of church and state. Myth, huh? The Southern Poverty Law Center labeled the ADF a hate group for its efforts to criminalize sexual acts between consenting LGBTQ adults and its support of state-sponsored sterilization of trans people in Europe. The ADF served on the Mississippi Legal Defense Team that overturned Roe v. Wade, which it proclaims on its website in a fundraising plea. The organization also appeared before the Supreme Court providing free defense for the Colorado baker who refused to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. More recently, ADF has requested a preliminary injunction to stop the sale distribution of mifepristone, the nation's leading abortion pill. Speaking of the ADF, Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House, for now, actually worked for the ADF for over a decade, spanning from at least 2002 to 2015, when he first went to Congress. And not so fun fact, the ADF currently employs Erin Hawley, the wife of Missouri Senator, masculinity enthusiast, and insurrectionist extraordinaire, Josh Hawley.
To CNN, the ADF has been involved in several legislative pushes to curtail LGBTQ rights and quash non-discrimination legislation in the Supreme Court. That's CNN's wordings. Of course, that is their way of saying protecting religious freedom and the freedom of speech.
Allie Beth Stuckey being a bootlicker for the ADF does not at all surprise me. She even had Kristen Wagoner, the ADF's girl boss, president, and CEO, on her show to discuss trans kids in sports, and I'm gonna spare you the trauma of actually watching the interview. I'm sure you can guess what they're gonna talk about. According to the Signatry website, the Signatry traces its start back to 2000 to the launch of the Christian Community Foundation of Kansas City, a small donor-advised fund sponsored seeking to connect God's resources with God's workers in the Kansas City area. Our community of donors grew and helped to support ministries throughout the central region of the country. What started with a small group of donors in Kansas City developed, by God's grace, into a vision to foster revolutionary biblical generosity on a much bigger scale. And they're real serious about that Kansas City pride. They even have a mural called Kansas City Coming to Jesus. Oh my God. I don't want to go to this place, but if this was like a mural maybe on the outside of the building, I would love to go see it. Think about what they're trying to say here. Jesus didn't go to Kansas City. Kansas City came to Jesus. You can see all the people going up the hill, and you can also see the Royals Stadium and like all the Kansas City landmarks.
Pain, hurt, division, and crises. These fill the world we live in. The problems seem too big for any one person to solve. The world is in desperate need of redemption. But how? Here's where it starts. For God so loved the world that he gave. The heart of the gospel is generosity, and that ultimate sacrificial gift unlocked world-changing redemption. This is why we are the Signatry. We believe when we reflect that image of God by sacrificially signing our names to his causes, the world is transformed by the hope and flourishing the gospel brings. We live to see all invited to the kingdom. We want to see people sign their names to thousands of last checks to solve the world's biggest problems by advancing the gospel. At the Signatry, you become part of the solution. Your gift can make a meaningful difference. You can enable a movement, leave an impact on eternity. So what's your last check? We are here to empower each signature. The kingdom awaits. Join us in putting your signature next to something that matters, to transforming the world through the heart of the gospel.
Did you catch that stuff about writing checks and signatures? Apparently, the Signatry's website says its vision is to write the last check to the last missionary to be sent out to the last unreached people group so the last person can hear the gospel. That's very bold. Bill High is, I don't know if they're besties, but they're pretty damn close. They wrote a book together with David Green, Hobby Lobby guy.
You have 12 principles in here, and I've highlighted a few of them, but I want you just to kind of give the overview of the book.
Okay. I think, people ask me why I write the book, and I think one of the greatest reasons I wrote it is for us to understand that we don't own what we have. Not because I say so, because the scriptures in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament says that God owns everything. And so I think as we see what we have is owned by him, then we're nothing but servants. And I say nothing but. I would rather be to serve and to be to take care of what God has given us than to have ownership. If you really study down on those that have been wealthy, wealth is a curse. And so how do you handle the curse? And that is to be someone that takes God's what God has given us and know how to handle it.
I think we used to understand that concept a lot more. We were a country that had great wealth, but we helped each other. We were always the first on the scene. And now, I mean, that's kind of like government does that. We just have this, we're just not the same people.
Well, the government's done too much, and that's why sometimes we've backed off where we should not have backed off. Yeah. So we want to make sure that what we do with our profits really makes a difference.
I love how he's really trying to justify his unbiblical wealth hoarding by saying that he's giving away his money to charity, because the charities he donates to are bullshit like He Gets Us, or they're going to his lawyers to defend his right to discriminate against employees. How about this for his spending habits? Do you remember when Hobby Lobby funded Bill Gothard for years? That's right, David Green, via Hobby Lobby, sold property to IBLP and Bill Gothard. They were the ones that actually sold them the property in Big Sandy, home of the Big Sandy Conference, for a whopping $10. This property famously has an aircraft hangar and is home to both Alert and Journey to the Heart. That was not the only property Hobby Lobby sold to IBLP either. In 2000, they donated a 500,000 plus square foot building in Little Rock to IBLP for them to run a prison ministry. They went on to provide a curriculum to the Arkansas Department of Corrections program known as Principles and Applications for Life. Apparently, they charged the police a fee to use the building, though, because they use it as a additional police station. Hobby Lobby also bought and then sold to IBLP, again for $10, an old hospital. Apparently they used to house the Embassy Institute there, but seeing as how this article was written in 2014, I don't think that place is still around. Bill Gothard says he is friends with the Greens, saying that he speaks to them periodically and that he met them after they attended one of his seminars. David Green even endorsed one of Bill Gothard's books, saying, "Through the example and teachings of Bill Gothard and the Institute in Basic Life Principles, we have benefited both as a family and in our business. It is as we take those lessons from God's Word that Bill clearly articulates that we live in the full life that God intends." Seriously, I can't stand this guy. Either of them, really. But when it comes to David Green and Hobby Lobby, it's not like his money is going to soup kitchens or humanitarian aid. It's money set aside to, say, steal ancient artifacts to fund his Bible museum. According to Baptist News, one contribution of note to the Signatry is the $651,000 in funds from Hobby Lobby and over $186 million in artifacts. The Signatry donated to the Museum of the Bible, created by David Green. David Green doesn't just want to stomp on our American rights. No, he will not be satisfied until he has over 150 years of Hobby Lobby reign. Oh, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. This is very serious.
Okay, so let's go through some of the principles that I'd like to talk to you about. Build for the next 150 years, not just the next generation. I don't think there's people, I think there's lots of people that are just building for tomorrow, not even the next generation.
Yeah.
This is more Chinese in your thinking. Explain.
What do you mean by that, Glenn?
Well, I think it's also thinking about what we're doing in our lifetime. What are we doing that doesn't matter 100 years from now? If you get to thinking and drilling down on that, you want your life to be something that's eternal and not just temporal. So that's what we're doing there. And so we're doing it with making sure that our children come along and serve the Lord and also have the same priorities you do. And that is to have Hobby Lobby going on forever if possible and be a ministry to those that are in need.
150 years of a Hobby Lobby empire. And with all of the political context that that's going to come with, all of the things that the Christian dominionists are trying to bring forth into our country, a totalitarian theocracy. I just gotta know, what does Allie Beth think about this?
Politics matter because policy matters because people matter. Politics affects policy, policy affects people. And we know as Christians that people matter, not just to us, but also to God.
Except for immigrants. They don't matter to Allie Beth. She particularly hates them.
And that's why we have to care about politics. That's why we care about abortion. That's why we care about immigration. That's why we care about crime. That's why we care about what the definition of justice is. That's why we care about gender and marriage and all of these things like surrogacy and reproductive technology. The things that we talk about, we don't talk about just to be angry. We don't talk about to be haters. We talk about them because we need clarity on these issues, because the church, as a refuge in a world that is tossed to and fro by the chaos of our culture, like, we have to know what is true on these things. We have to provide the answer for these things. We are agents of order as Christians. That is part of what we do and why we are here. That's what Christians have done throughout history. We have been agents of order. We have been agents of civilization.
I know this isn't what she's talking about, but this whole thing about being agents of civilization is reminding me of my missionary video and civilizing missions that went on.
We have been ambassadors of the message that you have innate rights as a human being because you were given them by a creator in whose image you are made.
Except for gay people.
And that, yes, has laid a foundation politically for the greatest country and the freest country and the best country that has ever existed. And so, of course, Christians, conservative Christians, Christians who believe the Bible is the final authority, of course, we need to continue speaking up about the things that matter. Because if we conservative evangelicals that the world calls hateful and all that stuff, if we stop caring about the unborn, like if we stop pushing for legislation to protect them, if we stop caring about the gender transition of children.
Once again, children are not surgically transitioning. They are at most getting a new name, new outfit, potentially maybe puberty blockers. Allie knows this. Most conservatives, I think, actually know this, but they don't want to say different because they just want to get people riled up. They know what pulls the heartstrings and fans the outrage of their followers, so why would they say otherwise?
If we stop caring about the definition of marriage, if we stop caring about the dignity and the sanctity of life, if we stop caring about borders and sovereignty, the right to protect yourself, the right to speak up, the right to worship freely, if we stop caring about that, then that's it. It's done. It's done. And we will reach the point of no return if we haven't already. So that's personally what I think these ads are about. I don't see the gospel in them.
And you know that shit never stays in one place. It always trickles down. And it's always going to be poor people, marginalized people, people of color, queer people. Like, they're the ones that are going to suffer from all this shit. Meanwhile, David Green's still lining his pockets. Would it fucking kill him to pay the $10 for somebody's birth control? Absolutely not. He just wants to pull a power move. He wants to feel like he's in charge of something, like he's going to have some sort of say on their salvation, it seems like. It's ridiculous and it's unnecessary and it just doesn't need to happen. Allie Beth can get all worked up about how much she loves David Green, Hobby Lobby, the ADF. At the end of the day, why the fuck are you trying to interfere with other people's personal lives? I thought you wanted freedom. I thought you wanted total fucking independence and to be able to do what you want. But instead, this shit is affecting everybody else. And there's the fucking line. You get to believe what you want to believe. You can vote for whoever the fuck you want. Once that shit starts affecting other people that are not you, you have to stop. Like, you can fucking homeschool your kids, not give them vaccines, teach them whatever you want. That's your fucking business. But how dare you go and spread misinformation about these causes, actively employ bigoted beliefs, and still delude yourself into thinking that you're a good person, because that's just not what's happening. Every human being on earth deserves equality, and I don't understand why that's such a fucking problem. It does not affect you, but your shit affects us. They want to feel morally superior, or some Christians believe that society has to be built up to a certain point in order for Jesus to return. So maybe it's because of that. Maybe they think they're trying to usher that in through policy, but even then, I'm like, you're doing too fucking much. You need to stop. It has nothing to do with us, and it's really fucking unfair. I don't care if you hate trans people. I don't care if you think they're grooming children. That's not what's happening, and it shouldn't fucking be up to you. We're supposed to have freedom. Anyway, so the Servant Foundation, they gave the He Gets Us project to Come Near. I'm not going to go anywhere near that name because that's a fun name. What if they called it the Come Hither Foundation? They gave the He Gets Us campaign to Come Near, which is basically the Servant Foundation with a different name. Once again, this is from that same Baptist News article. Perhaps to obscure such connections as well as more effectively focus the campaign, the Servant Foundation has turned He Gets Us over to a newly formed nonprofit, Come Near. This North Carolina-based organization is so new it hasn't filed any taxes yet and only applied to trademark its name in January, barely a month before the Super Bowl. While Come Near claims to be an independent organization with an independent board, a closer look reveals it's anything but independent. So yeah, the board of Come Near is basically composed of David Green's Nepo baby son, along with his buddies who seem to not be able to make it at the Signatry. Come Near's board of directors is comprised of 3 men with close ties to one another and to the Servant Foundation. One member of the board is Mart Green. Not Mark! His name is Mart. Mart Green, who is David Green's oldest son, formed the Illuminations Foundation to eradicate Bible poverty around the world. How the organization's $23 million contribution to the National Christian Foundation, one of the biggest backers of the hate groups Alliance Defending Freedom and the Family Research Council, will accomplish that is unclear. Mart Green is also the Ministry Investment Officer for Hobby Lobby. He oversees donations to Every Home for Christ, One Hope, the Museum of the Bible, and Oral Roberts University. Hobby Lobby spent $70 million bailing out Oral Roberts University in 2008, and Mart served as chairman of trustees before handing that position over to the son of Bob Hoskins, one of Come Near's other board members. Mart. That's so funny. I love that name, Mart. Hoskins is a close friend of the Green family and the founder of One Hope, an evangelical ministry focused on sharing the gospel with children and youth around the world. Tangible resources like food and clean water only provide temporary aid, says the organization's website. One Hope devotes all its resources to delivering God's word to children. Incidentally, more than half of those resources came directly from the Servant Foundation, which gave the charity almost $30 million in 2022. That's just like that thing we talked about in the missionary episode. They're like, yeah, we don't need to give them food because they really need the Bible. The final board member of Come Near is Marwan Rifka, an executive vice president of One Hope. Rifka was a successful businessman before joining One Hope. He also is the executive pastor at Cornerstone Chapel in Leesburg, Virginia. Cornerstone is a conservative, non-denominational megachurch whose senior pastor has spoken out against abortion, claimed anyone for gay marriage is thumbing their nose at God, and believes when it comes to immigration, God is into borders. God's really into borders. No, he's not. The only one not into borders is the Antichrist. Fellas, does it make you an antichrist to not be into borders? What kind of specific ass read is that? In addition to the 3-man board, Come Near is led by CEO Ken Caldwell, formerly Chief Marketing Officer at Compassion International. Like Hoskins, Caldwell was struck by the spiritual poverty of the children served by Compassion International. He came to the charity from the restaurant industry. Americans have him to thank for Pizza Hut's stuffed crust beans. This guy is serious about his pizza, though. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, there are more pictures of this man with pizza than there are of him at church. He also held roles as the chief marketing officer at Domino's, Wendy's, and was the CEO at Papa Murphy's. I don't know if you've ever been to Papa Murphy's. It's weird. You buy frozen pizza to take home and bake yourself. It's a strange concept.
Say, y'all, it's James real quick. I know we're having a fun time clowning on Papa Murphy's, but I did want to say that one cool thing about them is that since they don't have ovens in their locations, I've been told that they don't qualify as a restaurant, which means that a lot of people were able to get, Papa Murphy's pizzas on EBT, and that for a lot of folks, that was the nicest meal they got. So I don't want to totally clown on them because they do have a business model that's important to some folks and important.
Caldwell also consulted on last year's He Gets Us campaign and was likely hired as CEO for Come Near because of his successful reinvigorating CI's digital marketing and increasing donation. Under his leadership, average giving rose significant double digits. The Servant Foundation gave $354,000 to Compassion International in 2022. I guess CI is Compassion International. Caldwell already is busy touting HeGetsUs.com, the campaign's digital presence, which has 500,000 visitors every month. We're a gateway, a connector, a hub to go in and learn more through YouVersion, Bible Plan, Local Church, or Alpha. He said over the last year, the videos on HeGetsUs.com have been shared and viewed 3.7 billion times, and 450,000 people have signed up for the Bible reading plan. That's that data I was talking about. YouVersion is a product of the conservative evangelical Life Church, one of the largest Protestant churches in the U.S. with 45 locations. Mark Green secured the rights to YouVersion for Life Church, which received $8.5 million from the Servant Foundation in 2021. In addition to He Gets Us plan, YouVersion's other Bible reading plans include Letter to the American Church from Turning Point USA and devotionals like Things to Look For in a Husband. They tell you it's one thing, you go to the website, and then it's evangelical propaganda. Alpha USA is a charismatic evangelical organization that promotes this theology through small group Bible studies. The Alpha USA videos feature conservative pastors who are anti-LGBTQ and complementarian. In 2022, the Servant Foundation donated $500,000 to Alpha USA, which also has ties to evangelical Republican politicians like Glenn Youngkin. The founding church in the UK, Holy Trinity Brompton, is currently leading the conservative faction at the center of the Church of England's split over blessing same-sex couples. Following an uproar over the Servant Foundation's donation to anti-LGBTQ organizations, the He Gets Us website is now careful to say, Jesus loves gay people and Jesus loves trans people. The LGBTQ community, like all people, is invited to explore the story of Jesus. This reminds me of the people who were mad about Preston Sprinkle and the crew stuff. Because all they were saying was Jesus loves all people, including gay people, and maybe we should be nice to them if we want them to convert and give up their sinful ways. But then all the conservatives were like, you're not hard enough. You should just be outright homophobic, and you shouldn't give them any leg to stand on. Even though it's still kind of fucked up and backwards because they want them to convert anyway and repent and not be gay anymore. They're just doing it a different way. Their approach is different, but they still all fundamentally believe the same thing, that gay is a sin and that you need to overcome it. They're just nicer up front. Jesus does love gay people and trans people. The true feelings of He Gets Us seem much clearer. Last year, HeGetsUs.com included another statement saying it and all its partner churches affirmed the Evangelical Lausanne Covenant as reflective of the spirit and intent of this movement. Sometime in the intervening year, they removed this post from the website once people began looking into the Lausanne movement and discovered its warning against disordered sexuality, including premarital sex and homosexuality. In 2022, the Servant Foundation gave the Lausanne movement almost $30,000. So now we're going to talk about the actual ads and the marketing firm behind them. Their website is like Brandhaven. I don't know what the actual name of the firm is because I've seen it called Brandhaven, I've seen it called Haven, but yeah, they're from a place called Grand Haven, Michigan. I know. Brandhaven, Grand Haven. Haven, who also handles the branding for Alliance Defending Freedom and Focus on the Family, needed to create a campaign to bring the political MAGA evangelicals into the more established evangelical fold, while rehabilitating the reputation of evangelicalism. If they succeed, the He Gets Us campaign would then be poised to attract more moderate evangelicals. Well, they just come right out and say it, don't they? This was trying to rebrand evangelicals. Maybe that's what Allie was talking about when she's like, they're chastising Christians. I don't know if I'd call it chastising, but they admit they're trying to rehab the reputation of evangelicals. But like Jamar Tisby said, who ruined that reputation? Actually, I don't think he was the one who said that, but I do want to shout out his book, Color of Compromise, because I'm reading it right now and it's amazing. It's about the history of American church's complicity in racism and slavery. A Jennonite told me to read this, and I'm really glad they did. I wish I had read it before my missionary video. But anyway, yeah, shout out. They are hoping to start a movement to put the Jesus of the Bible front and center in our culture, said Jason Vanderground, president of Haven, the marketing firm that created He Gets Us. This raises a series of questions. Who is they? What exactly is their message? Who are they trying to reach? What are they really trying to accomplish? And where are they getting all this money? For 6 months, Haven conducted market research utilizing telephone and online surveys and concluded Christianity has an image problem. However, Haven's research also revealed that with the right coaching, religious skeptics and cultural Christians could be persuaded their values align with Jesus as opposed to those of Muhammad or Buddha, as defined in the survey. Jesus is the really strong brand here, said Steve Finch, president of the Servant Foundation, which holds the billion-dollar purse strings. Jesus is a really strong brand. The group decided America needs a national media blitz about Jesus on par with ads for brands like Old Navy, Kroger, and Mercedes-Benz. After all, using business savvy to repair the damage to American Christianity's brand is what Jesus would do, concluded Bill McKendry, Haven's founder and chief creative officer. What? There's quite a few other things he should cover first. It's part of a calculated approach to evangelism, he acknowledged. Is the goal that people become Christians? Obviously, but more importantly for now, we need to raise their level of respect for Jesus and then they'll move. Saying that we need to portray Jesus in a modern context and appeal to certain types of people to get them to respect Jesus so that you can evangelize them?
Yeah, good morning. Even if you didn't get to watch the game, you probably heard about the He Gets Us ads. It's a faith-based campaign produced right here in Grand Haven. I talked to the agency behind those ads, and they said with that many people watching, they were ready for some pushback.
Whether you were at home, with friends, or out on the town, chances are this ad made the room go quiet.
When you're putting a message like that, a unique message kind of about faith and spirituality, in the middle of like beer and chips, you have to do something interesting.
The He Gets Us campaign hit the national scale 2 years ago, all the way from Grand Haven.
It's a joy to be a part of.
It's been making waves ever since.
Hopefully it tells people that like some of the best work in the country comes right from here, and I think that's just part of our West Michigan ethic.
Some of the waves more critical than others.
There's going to be people who disagree or who speak out against it. Were you ready for that kind of pushback?
We were, because we experienced that a lot last year too, and so I think a lot of people see the ad based on kind of where they sit.
One of the biggest criticisms, the price tag. While they won't say exactly how much the ads cost, we can infer from some math. The cost of a 30-second ad in this year's Super Bowl is estimated to be about $7 million. He Gets Us took up about 60 seconds, which puts it at $14 million. That's on top of the money it takes to create the ad and the rest of the campaign. Vanderground says it's money well spent.
To run your message in front of 120 million people and to say, let's go back to this example of Jesus, who was incredibly generous with his time, with his resource, and let's follow that example.
This game averaged more than 123 million viewers. That makes it the biggest broadcast since the moon landing in 1969.
It's a presidential election year that is coming, and so it's going to be very divisive and toxic, and we just keep asking, like, where is all of this taking?
He says the ads weren't inherently political, but it's important it doesn't stop with the Super Bowl.
It's not a church. We're not trying to get people to go back to church, but we are inviting them more into the message.
Also introducing the community to resources at events like this in Las Vegas. You can expect to see more of He Gets Us at similar events.
The NFL draft right in Detroit.
On the ground in Michigan.
And what was Jesus saying all the way back then?
Spreading their message.
How did he respond in times like that?
Beyond the screen.
They have other big events planned for this year. That's going to be at the Summer Olympics and the Republican and Democratic National Conventions. For now, reporting live in Grand Haven, Julie Koharic, 13 on your side.
Well, there you go. That's what the $1 billion campaign is going towards. They're going to have these ads at the Olympics. We're never going to hear the end of this shit. You realize that this summer is going to be nothing but He Gets Us. Maybe I was actually ahead of the curve. I thought I was late. I was right on time. So Brandhaven does other ads besides just He Gets Us. I've seen it referenced in articles that they make promotional materials for the ADF, although they certainly don't list that on their website or their LinkedIn. They don't seem to be proud of that. And I did look on the ADF social media, and it seems kind of like generic marketing anyway, so it really could be made by anyone. But I wanted to draw attention to some of the other brands that they work for, including Garden Weasel, which honestly looks really cute. And they did an ad for 5 Hour Energy with a woman who looks like the spitting image of Kristen from Girl Defined. Maybe with a little Bethy thrown in there, but this is Kristen. You cannot convince me otherwise. When the first time I saw this, I nearly shit my pants. I thought I found some unaired Girl Defined footage. And honestly, RIP, because the link to this video is now gone. Who else thought that was Kristen? In conclusion, it seems like David Green and other donors saw this as an easy way to quite literally write off charitable expenses and support vague causes like advertise Jesus. I truly don't think he cares what the ads depict. He doesn't care about Allie's opinion. He doesn't care about the leftist opinion. He wants fat money stacks and nothing else. He thought this was a good cause to support, and he trusted that they would do a good job. And he doesn't seem to care that people are mad. Now, I do wonder if next year they're going to change things because of this backlash, or if they're going to double down. We're really living in a society right now, and I'm not sure how things are going to go. I'd love to know if they made more or less money after this latest ad blitz, or if they lost donors, or if they gained them. You know what I mean? Because unless they see some sort of like huge drop in profits, they probably won't care. I really find the whole thing to be kind of appalling. Like, not only did you guys lie to people and try to portray something that you don't believe in to trick them into getting saved or to giving you money for your cause, of which is very vague and generic, but then you use that money to lobby the government to discriminate against your employees, steal ancient artifacts, and generally fund causes that strip rights away from American citizens. I'm just not getting behind that vision. It's kind of juicy and fun to think about the conservatives getting so mad about this, but at the same time, like, that doesn't matter. What matters is the individuals who live here who are gonna be fucked because of people like this. This company doesn't really give a shit about reproductive rights, equality, social justice. They were just lying to get people riled up so they can go to their website so they can make money, and we all fell for it. And ultimately, we're all the losers here in this situation. I guess I will take this time to answer the question I raised in the title. Is this pandering or is this propaganda? And the answer is both. It's something that evangelicals have historically done, and they're going to continue to do. It's the ultimate youth pastor vibe. You know who else was canceled? You know who else was blah, blah, blah? Just put out the homophobic ad that you wanted to put out. At this point, it would probably be more popular. There are a lot of people who would agree. A lot of people with fucking money, so that's really all that matters to them. It's the same shit that happened with Crew. It's fake affirming, and they do this all smiling in your face and stabbing you in the back because they still maintain these same bigoted beliefs. To be accepted into their group, you have to change, and you have to follow what they believe. And if you are a gay person who wants to be Christian, there are affirming churches and there are places that will actually love you for who you are and not require you to change. Going to hegetsus.com, getting paired up with one of these other churches, I cannot guarantee you that they're going to be at all accepting. It's going to get people hurt, it's going to get people in trouble, and it's just a bunch of bullshit, and I don't support it. Oh my god, guys. This was a fucking doozy. How are you all feeling? How did you feel when you first saw these ads? Did you get a bad vibe from them, or did you think that they were super progressive? I will be the first to admit when I first saw them, I was like, yeah, go gay Jesus. But then I learned that it wasn't actually like that. I don't like Allie Beth, but I am really glad that I watched her videos because she gave a really good insight into what the conservative evangelical opinion or the discourse was saying. That this is not the last that you've heard or seen of me covering Allie Beth Stuckey. I do plan on doing a big, long video about her for Halloween. And so I gotta start planning that, honestly. It might take a few months because I'm gonna watch... I don't think it's possible to watch every single thing she's ever created, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to watch as much as possible because I want to do a really good job on this. But anyway, so look forward to that coming up. Yeah, this episode was very interesting to make. I learned a lot, and I learned more about David Green than I thought I knew. But yeah, these ads, super divisive. They're like that way on purpose. I'm glad I got to cover this topic because I was interested, and the best episodes come from when I just want to know more about a topic and I bring you guys along for the ride. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I worked hard on it. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I said that about 5 times now, but I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support our ministry, and that is a joke, we're not a ministry. We have Patreon and YouTube memberships, and we have $1 and $3 tiers. They do the exact same thing, and I really, really appreciate that. James and I work on Fundy Fridays full time. This is our job, and we pay our bills with that money. I really appreciate it, and I try not to take it for granted because I might not do this my whole life. Something could come up. Maybe YouTube goes under. Like, you never know. You can't take anything for granted, and I really appreciate being able to do this right now in this season of life. I feel so blessed that every day I get to work on my passion, and I get to learn as a job, and I get to meet people and talk to people and hear about different walks of life. It's just such a wonderful thing to be able to be your reverend. And if you want to tithe, we have those options. If not, you don't have to do a damn thing. I mean, it'd be nice if you liked and commented, but you also don't even have to do that. Just being here, I can feel the vibe through the camera. I can feel your love washing over me. Maybe not. But we also have merch, and we have been working with actual artists who make actually amazing fucking designs, and you can find those on fundyfridays.shop. We now go through Fourth Wall for our merch, and we've liked working with them so far. We do also have a store still running on Bonfire, and I'm going to keep that up, but remember that if you see any of my designs on counterfeit websites, I did not put them there. I recently have come across a couple of those instances. Yeah, so fundyfridays.shop if you want some merch. If you are a member or a patron, there is a 20% merch discount. Members also get access to the Discord and behind the scenes videos. And we have been doing watch parties on Mondays. We call it Movies and Fellowship. And lately we have been watching the new... Not the newest season, last year's new season of Plathville, season 5, and it's been crazy. So yeah, that's all the good stuff that you can do if you join my church. And yeah, otherwise, I love you guys, and I will see you soon. I'm doing a special video for the 5-year anniversary of Fundy Fridays, which is this July, and so yeah, happy birthday to Fundy Fridays. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I love you. My printer just turned on. It's going to be a fax from Allie Beth. Like, I don't consider this to be a charity. I don't consider... What? You're cleaning it. Anyway, I don't think that David Green would give money to anything that didn't benefit him or allow him to write off more money from his taxes. I'm just going to have to ignore it, otherwise I'm never filming this video. What the fuck? It just says subscribe to Funny Fridays. Huh. Well, I agree with that.